So I wanted to share this message because this is a harsh truth that I had to understand. I was one of those people that was just angry with God, and as a psychic medium, I've always felt like this support by God, but I just didn't feel like it was the God that was the Christian God. I always felt like God is energy, God is not a gender, and God speaks through all different types of people, trees, anything that's in existence. Pretty much, God will use that as a medium to speak to you, and God will speak through you when you start praying or you start just talking to yourself, gathering your thoughts, and the answer comes. God literally told me, I was like, why is there so much injustice in this world? Why do you allow all this to happen? Why do you allow children to be harmed and neglected? Why do you allow violence against women? Why do you allow injustice in a sense of like just racism like in the world? Why do you allow just people to just laugh at people on the street, and people who have these so-called Christian religions condemning people to hell for just being simply who you created them to be, but they're in this position of power running this world as Christian nationalists? Like, why are you allowing all of this dysfunction, disharmony, pain and suffering happen? And I heard spirit speak to me, and the harshest thing that I had to come to terms with is it source was like, humanity wanted it this way. Humanity made it this way, if that makes sense. I know that everybody has their different beliefs and stuff like that, but as a collective, humanity really hasn't been exercising their free will to fight against what's happening in this system or this reality. And God gives us free will, and God gives us signs after signs after signs. I've even had people who come to me as a psychic medium asking me questions about why God allowed this in their life, and I'm just like, you have free will. As hard as this life is, as unfair and unjust as this life is, God gives you the power to create magic in your life, to manifest, to, and I know people don't want to hear that, but this is coming from someone who was on the streets, like sleeping on the streets, and you know what I'm saying. And I've been homeless multiple times in my younger years, and I've dealt with spiritual warfare. I've dealt with like people not even seeing me as a person, and I've dealt with just being like at every marginalized group that you could possibly think of. I could identify with them in some type of way. So I know and I understand how hard life is, but I just always had this drive within me that just made me want to just fight. Like, fight to just make this shit happen. Fight to just not wait on a God, a Christian God that's never going to come and save me. That's not even, I feel like, doesn't even listen to me. That is misogynistic. I just never felt connected to that God. But I always had this drive to just make things happen for me. Like, I don't want to be like Cinderella, like waiting for someone to save me, or being at the mercy of a God that is supposed to be separate from me when God is not even separate from us. And I just want to draw some cards if you have been struggling with your faith, and you don't know what to do. So spirit, angels, archangels, spirit guides, ascended masters, I want to help someone who. All right, spirit, I ask that you cleanse this deck of all impurities and help an accurate message come out. Ooh. Okay. Okay. Okay, spirit, can you give another message to someone who is struggling in their faith? Okay. Let's see what just came out. I'm just gonna do what came out. I just was just chilling. Oh, okay. So this is the message that I got for someone struggling with their faith. It says, your emotions are speaking to you. What needs to change? This is a great message because when God or source or spirit, the universe, is speaking through me or speaking to me, it speaks to me through my emotions first. Like, I might have things happen around me where I feel like it's irritating. Why is there this uphill battle? Why is there conflict? But I've been feeling the need to kind of get away from a group of people or a job. What needs to change? Is it that job? Is it that person? Is it a bad habit? Is it a negative negative thought patterns? Like, what is it? God also wants you to remember this. Remember who you are. It says, Only you know who you truly are. And Spirit always tells me to remember who I am. And it's important to remember who you are when you're exercising your free will to create as a god or a goddess, and not be at the mercy of a God that you have been taught to believe. You have to remember who you are. Be strong, because life isn't fair. I've literally had to come to that realization. Spirit has already told me life is not fair. There will always be injustice as long as there is duality. There will always be darkness. However, there is a way to create harmony and balance on earth, or at least more harmony and balance on earth than what we have been experiencing as humanity. And this is like on a global scale. The only truth that matters is the truth within. And this message is for someone who has been struggling with their faith and feeling like many people are like, for example, I'm getting this, I need to share this. I remember growing up in a church, and there was a spiritually gifted lady, but I felt like no matter how spiritually gifted someone is, there's just some things that God won't reveal to them what God reveals to you, because God wants you to remember who you are, and the only truth that matters is the truth within. So if you're feeling guided to take matters into your own hands and to get up off your knees and stop praying to a God that is not coming to save you, this is the truth that you need to listen to. You need to watch your thoughts, because we manifest our thoughts. We manifest from our thoughts. When all else fails, follow your bliss. This has always came up when I have been in times where everything has seemed like it has gone to shit. And every time I draw from my oracle deck that I created, it says, when all else fails, follow your bliss. You have to create your heaven on earth. What hobbies do you like to do? What business did you always want to start? How do you want to dress? How do you want to express yourself? Are you living in your truth? Are you living in your authenticity? And then I also got, it'll all be over soon. Sorry, it has makeup on my cards. I used to be doing my makeup and doing some stuff. But anyway, it'll all be over soon. Everything is temporary. And that's something that we need to remember. You are magic. We have forgotten our magic. But there's magic being done in places where there is power, and in places where magic is used to control the masses. This is another reason why the world is in a dark place. There is some magic. Trust your intuition. It is your connection to source. And sorry for the makeup on the cards again. But trust your intuition. It is your connection to source. Like I said, if you're feeling guided to make a change, if you're feeling guided to walk away from that religion, if you're feeling guided to take matters into your own hands, you need to do that to balance the scales. You have to balance your own scales. And you have to take care of you, because you come first on this journey called life. And this is a message that God will always give you. And it is, don't give up, have faith. And when you have faith, it's not the faith that you have been groomed to believe about God. It's the faith that the type of relationship. I tell people all the time, your relationship with God, the creator, the universe, whatever deity, whatever you believe in, God works through that deity. Even if you don't believe in a God and you work with deities, God works through that deity. It's always going to remind you to never give up and to always have faith. Because faith is how we manifest. Faith is how things begin to change in your life. So I really hope this message helped whoever needed to hear this. If you've been struggling with religion, if you've been struggling in your faith, if you've been questioning things but you feel guided to like make a change in your life, this is the confirmation to go ahead and make that change. And you have to understand, like I said, it's a harsh truth, a harsh reality, is that God is not coming to save you. Nobody is. You have to save yourself. You must save yourself.